Welcome back. Today we bring to you outdoor floor makeover that can transform your balcony into a chic space without spending too much. The truth is, you don't have to spend a lot of money to decorate the balcony space. All it needs is a little creativity and an initiative. In fact, paint and pattern are the perfect way to spruce it up and create your own designer looking oasis. What you will need: tile stencil, sandpaper 220 grit, apex tile guard, clear synthetic varnish, masking tape, foam or a dense roller or a stencil brush, paper towel, sample tile or board. This is completely optional. Respective product links are in the description below if you want to know where to buy. Step 1. Measuring tiles. Before ordering your tile stencil, you must measure your tile. The correct way to measure your tile is from tile edge to tile edge. You can use a ruler or measuring tape. Make sure you do not include the grout lines. For this specific floor project, we want to ignore the grout lines because the space between the tiles is too thin. The size you measure will be the size you order. Step 2. Floor preparation. Make sure that the floor you will be stenciling is properly prepared. It makes no sense to put your beautiful artwork over a poorly prepared surface. Floor should be clean, dust-free and in good condition. Before you start painting, sand your tiles down using 220 grit sandpaper. This gives your floor extra addition. Then rid your floors of any dust or dirt that may be left there. Tape the perimeter of the floor to avoid getting paints in unwanted area. This is optional and I skipped it. The next step would be priming the floor. As I couldn't find any tile primer in India, I skipped this step too. Step 3. Choosing a color and sample test. Look at some reference for color combination that works well together and do a test sample so you're comfortable with your choice. It is always a good idea to test your stenciling technique and color selection before starting your project. You can use a piece of cardboard, pizza box or a damaged tiles. Then you can do few prints to get comfortable with your technique. Step 4. Stenciling technique. Stick adhesive tape to the 4 edges of your tile stencil. We are placing the stencil directly on the tile where the edges meet. Another key factor when stenciling the perfect tile floor is all about how you load your dense foam. Evenly load the paint onto your foam and offload excess paint onto a plate or a paper towel. Then, with a light pressure, dab paint onto the stencil. If there is too much paint on your foam and you press down too hard, you will get some bleed. To accomplish a complete stencil, you will need 2 coats of paint. Carefully remove the finished tile stencil and use the built-in registration to align your next stencil repeat. Now repeat this process on each full tile. Tile stencil are super flexible and can be bent to fit tricky corners. Just dab your paint as close as you can to the edge and pounce where the floor meets the wall. Push down the stencil when pouncing in that area for crisp line. Paint seepage. Stencil bleed occur when the paint seeps under the edge of the stencil, leaving a less than perfect print. Do not worry about this too much, but do take measures to reduce the amount of bleed. Know that there will always be some minor bleed here and there as we are creating a hand painted finish. But when the floor is done and you look at the entire project, your eye will see the color and the pattern. In most cases, you wouldn't even notice a little bleed. To keep bleed to a minimum, I followed these steps. Do not overload your stencil foam and build the paint coverage up slowly without pressing hard on the foam. Minor mistakes and bleeds can be wiped off with a baby wipes or a moist rag while the mistake is still fresh. Alternatively, the mistakes can be touched up later with a small brush. Step 5. A top coat instruction. Once you have finished stenciling and the floor is completely dry, it's time to seal it with a clear synthetic varnish. We recommend 2 to 3 coats of this. Please allow 2 hours of dry time between each coat, and then you must wait for full 24 hours before you can start using your floor completely. For the future, when cleaning your floors, you can go ahead, use any mop with soap and water just like usual. But please stay away from any cleaners with alcohol. Take a look at how absolutely incredible the final project has turned out. We took this balcony floor from dark to fab in such a short amount of time and for an insanely low price. Now it's time to clean up. Your stencil does not have to be cleaned after each repeat. It's time to clean the stencil when there is a notable accumulation of paint, usually after quite few repeats. In my experience, you would be able to stencil an entire medium-sized floor without cleaning the stencil. To clean your stencil, lay it on a flat surface such as cutting board or a cookie tray. Spray it with a water and gently rub with a dish brush using running water. Make sure you have a sink strainer in place to catch any paint pieces. If the paint on the stencil is very dry, let it soak for a while before scrubbing it. Lay the cleaned stencil onto a paper towel and pat or roll it dry with the roll of paper towels. Works great. Are you ready to stencil? Stenciling is such an amazing and easy technique that opens the door to endless decorative possibilities. Don't be intimidated, be inspired. Just follow these guidelines and in no time you will be stenciling like a pro me. Bye.